absolutely contrary to divine laws. The two cannot exist, only one can. And we know that God's law will exist. That's why God removes governments. And sometimes, even anarchy comes in. Because if the governments are not maintaining law and order, then anarchy will come. Sometimes the military will take over and citizens will suffer because when they were to raise their voice against it, if you keep silent, then the time will come where your voice will be silenced. God will take away your freedom even to speak. That's when we all get so upset, and God, why you are doing it? God said, I'm doing it because I gave you opportunity to speak. You did not speak. You don't need your voice. I'm going to take away your voice. Take away our voice. So don't be just involved with your employment and education and all that alone. You do that, yes. But be a citizen. Our citizenship rights, civil rights, our civil duties, civil privileges, they call for us to make, judicially make judgment upon the different laws and the rules. Some of them are draconian laws. We should resist and expose them and show our people. So God's character is the law of the universe. God's character is the law of the universe. There's a law of the universe. All laws must respect divine virtues, divine characters. This law simply represents the will of God, actually. Divine law, they represent divine will, what God wants. And human laws should be honoring the divine will. So the bylaws and the sub-laws are made so that the divine will be executed without any coercion or resistance. So we have to make these judgments. I think we Christian community has been guilty of this, honestly. Especially the more evangelical you get, the less interested you are in the process of law. The more evangelical we get, we less, We tell our children to keep away from politics, and I'm not saying we should run for the office or anything. No, we should discuss in our home, some of the laws they are, bringing in the parliament, the danger of it, why we think this law is wrong in the light of the scriptures. As Christians, what we should do? As a family, Christian family, what is our responsibility? So in our family prayer, we should include also, Lord, this law they are bringing in the next parliament, this law is against your law, and therefore we want this law to be defeated, or the respective people should cancel it. We don't want this law to be passed because it encroaches upon your will. As a family we should pray, and you think that if every family will be praying about these things, then God won't do something? The thing is, sometimes governments make laws against Christians. Who is responsible? Only after the law is passed and made, President signs it and becomes law, then we start. Then we start murmuring and all those things. God is asking, where were you all this time? This did not become a law within fortnight. There is a process of law making. What were you doing? And other people, they do it. They represent their viewpoints, They represent their viewpoints. We need to. So, teach our children. Even of the elders and those who are Bible teachers, they must occasionally have a seminar on, these matters, our seminar on our civil rights and civil responsibilities, our duties to government. What are the laws that are contrary to God's nature? We should educate our people. That need not to take our time for the ministry of God's word on Sunday morning, but on a special day we can have a seminar where the people could be, invited, and even, this thing, our people need to be educated. The second pillar of the Christian concept of the law is the moral nature of the law. The moral nature of the law. If a law in itself is not moral, there could be neutral laws. Today we are all driving on the left side and people are walking on the right side. That's a law. Okay, many people think that we should walk also on the left side. No, we should walk on the right side and we should drive on the left side. Tomorrow the parliament could pass a law saying that all drivers will be driving on the right side and people will be walking on the left side. There is no morality in it. Of course, there is a lot of misuse of money because all the driving of the vehicles, steering has to be changed from one side to the other side, and so many things have to be changed. But there is no moral nature in it. No moral. Though people will be talking, oh, that's very wrong for the government. See what inconveniences. Laws are not judged by simply inconveniences. We should be looking at the moral nature of the laws. So many times, the moral nature, the justice, righteousness, love, truth, mercy, and all those things, the laws are to uphold all these values. Do the laws support this moral nature? Our God is a moral being, not an amoral being or an immoral being. Our God is a moral being. All His will is moral. നമ്മുടെ ദൈവം നിർഗുണനൊന്നുമല്ല, ഗുണങ്ങളുള്ളവനും ഗുണങ്ങളെ ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നവനുമാണ്. So when we have such a virtuous God, every law has a virtue in it. When it makes, it must have a virtue. You cannot support a law simply because, personally we may not be, hurt immediately. But if a law is not moral, it affects any justice or any righteousness, any truth, any mercy. For example, there is a law government has made that begging is prohibited. But what do you think about that law? You can prohibit begging if every citizen is provided the need. They don't have to beg. The Lord said you will have the poor. Always. Bible talks about charity and all those things. So if some poor man comes at your home and beg for a meal because he is hungry, the government says begging is strictly prohibited. Anybody who gives a beggar, entertain a beggar, he will be punished. What do you think about the morality of that law? It's true that beggars come in different forms. They bring in different troubles also to the society. Not all beggars are really beggars. Some of them are, unwanted elements practicing, many things, thieves and robbers and all kinds of sellers, pushers of drugs and everything. They all come in different forms. But the morality of that law, So if somebody is asking me something, extend your charity, because the Bible says if somebody asks, you give it to them. It's not a case of somebody asking money for drinking or anything. You don't have it. But somebody is hungry and thirsty, and somebody is naked, or they don't have money to buy medicine for their children, and we say that, don't you know that the law prohibits you to come even here? Get out from this place as soon as possible. I will call the police. Well, there are many laws like that. Many laws. And Christians are very peculiar of obeying these laws. Well, I say that when God permits us something, then we should definitely not be in favor of such laws. There are many laws. Bribery laws, Some of the bribery laws are unethical laws, I think that. You tip people, don't you? You go to a restaurant to eat supper with your dinner with your family, they bring the bill and you tip them. Why you tip them? The postman comes here and bring you sometime, deliver you a registered letter or a money order, you tip him. If they are all, actually you are violating the law. Because you could say that they are paid for, this is bribery. But is that bribery really? How much freedom you have to show charity with your money? See, in certain countries you have to. Even you hire a taxi, you have to give a decent tip of 15%. That's a standard practice. 100 rupees bill, you have to give 115 rupees. But sometimes government could make laws that I think that their intention, I don't know what their intention is. By paying a tip to the waiter or paying a tip to the postman or somebody, you are encouraging gross financial irregularities and corruption. So we need to discern, all those things. The third pillar is the humanness of the laws, the humanness of the law. Man is created in God's image and therefore has significance. For this reason, human life has also significance than all the other forms of life. Some of the laws don't have a human face. That's what I said. And now, for example, the protection of wildlife, under the wildlife, you cannot kill a snake that comes to bite you, or you cannot kill a rat that gets inside the home, because it's all against the law. Well, what about the humanness? They destroy your agriculture, the monkeys will come and destroy all your farming. You cannot kill one monkey, but the monkeys can kill all your crop. Where is the humanness, the human face of these laws? Our present Prime Minister Modi was right when he said that, what did he say, that let our people have good toilets before? Yes, and temples and all that thing. They said that. It was people made a big hue and cry because temples. That word. Yes. But I will say that let our people have food to eat before the monkeys are preserved. There are plenty of forests where the monkeys can live in. The monkeys should feed on the fruits and the roots and everything available in the forest. Let the government make electric fences all around so that wild animals won't cross into the crops. Now some of these, some of these laws that lately have brought in, where people cannot live how many kilometers, close to the forest, this and that, and all these things, they have created so much problem. I think many laws don't have a human face. Sometimes I think that people are more concerned about preserving the nature, they say that, than the people. The nature is made for people. People are never made for nature. Our Lord was right when He said that the Sabbath was made for people. People were not made for Sabbath. God rested on the sixth day, and 6 days He was seventh day, and He said, now we need to make some man so that we will have somebody, to rest on the seventh day. That was not the purpose for which sometimes we do that. So the human face of the law, the humanness of the law must be there. There are many, many laws that are absolutely wrong. Of course, the intention of some of the laws are right, and I think we should not be indiscriminately killing animals. No, we should not be cutting down trees indiscriminately. I agree with that one. Plant a tree when you cut a tree, that's a good policy. It's good for you also. Yeah. But to say that trees are more important than human beings, rats and snakes are more important than human beings, lakes and mountains are more important than human beings, well, it's wrong. God never made a law to preserve the nature at the cost of human life. You read through all the 66 books. The Creator, He is the one who should be more concerned about the preservation of the mountains and the preservation of all these things than anybody else. So the Creator did not make laws for the sake of the nature. Every law God made to make sure that man's life is comfortable. Man was given freedom to eat, but not to destroy. Definitely. He had to work If he has to eat, he has to produce. And all those things are there, but never a law was made which hurted man and the nature was benefited. No. So the human face, the humanness of the law is again an important aspect. We need to pay attention to that. The fourth pillar of the Christian concept of the law is the catalyzing nature of the law. The catalyzing nature of the law. The law should always help a man to have dominion over the created world. It should be a work as a law. The laws that are made on the human realm, the bylaws and all those laws must work as a catalyst which enables, which fashions man's ability to function as a governor. Because God, after creating man and woman, what did he say that? Subdue everything. Man's role is to subdue. So every law should be helping man to subdue, have dominion. Now the laws are taking away the dominions of man. That's the way it is. Man has less dominion over everything. Animals have more dominion on man. God said have dominion, subdue. So the law should be made so that this commandment of the Lord will be, enhanced. The law must work as a catalyst. Where it is made more possible, our laws are. People should be, government should mark out forest. Let the people, work in the rest of the places, produce more food. I think, every law that is made, the wild pigs should be killed. What's the use of having so much? The population has increased so much. It's a trouble for farmers. But you cannot kill them, because if you kill them, you are in jail. You can labor hard, but Bible says you have to produce. Yes. The production is not for these wild pigs. You are producing it for, there are many people, many mouths to feed. We need the national resources. The pigs are not going to add to our national economy and national resources in any way. So don't let the pigs live in the forest. If they encroach upon your private land, so the pigs can encroach anywhere, elephants can encroach anybody's land, tigers can come any home, take away your dog or your sheep or your anything, but you cannot touch them because they are more precious. Well, it will be, because if you believe in evolution, they are your forefathers, So naturally you have to show respect to your forefathers. No, that's nonsense. Nonsense. So, all these things, the laws must be a catalyst so that God's commandment to man will be, better obeyed. Better obey. Have dominion over it. Have dominion over it. Man was created and put in a garden, and then God said what? To keep the garden. To keep the garden means the order has to be maintained. The plants must be protected. Yes, true. The beauty of the garden has to be maintained. That can be maintained only by cutting some trees, definitely. You can never make a garden. You can make a forest by not cutting, but you cannot make a garden by not cutting trees. Because the idea of the garden is the gardener decides what plant should go where, how tall it should grow, how much should be pruned and not pruned, and all those things. Otherwise, what's the sense of having a gardener? The Lord put Adam and Eve there, and that, you tend it and you keep it and you protect it and all those things. So man must be the ruler. Man must be the ruler. The laws must not be made by the gardens. The laws must be made for the gardens so that man could enjoy it. Man could enjoy it. The fifth pillar is the stewardship nature of the law. The stewardship nature of the law. Christian concept of government is based upon the faith that someday the lawgiver, who is God, is going to judge the world, is going to demand a detailed account of all that we have done here. That means it's a stewardship nature. You don't have absolute control. God has not written away His absolute control and given it away. No, it's only delegated. He can take it any time. He is going to ask for a detailed account of. Paul, preaching at Athens in Acts chapter 17:31, said that God is going to judge the earth according to my gospel. Through Jesus Christ. Everything. Everything. To the extent that whatever you do, eat or drink anything, you must do for the glory of God. So that's a stewardship responsibility. We are to safeguard the glory of God. The judgment is based upon standard of good and evil. 2 Corinthians 5:11 says that, whatever we do in the body, whether good or bad, we shall stand before the judgment seat of Christ and receive accordingly. So what all will come there, good or bad? Whatever God has said good, if you make them bad, well, that's a very serious error. 6 days creation, at the end of every creation, what did God say? It's good. So we are there to maintain those creations good. We are not there to maintain those creations bad. No. So there is going to be a judgment, an accountability. We sometimes think that it's only about stealing, murdering and adultery and all, good and bad. No. God's concept of good and bad is a lot wider and lot bigger than that one. So what I say is that, Christians' perspective of the law is very fixed. These 5 pillars are so important. It's upon these 5 pillars the laws are made. We must teach our children, we must teach our believers how to make judgment upon the laws, whether every law and every bylaw it need to be judged whether good or bad, right or wrong, according to these 5 pillars. We are not there simply, sitting and saying that, oh boy, it seems like things are going bad. No, we have to make some very sound judgment. We have to represent some things against the government sometimes if they are making that laws, we need to tell them why this law is wrong. Like the abortion law, for example, It's, infanticide. How many millions of little infants are killed every day all over the world? We Christians should raise our voice, write it to the governments that stop it. This is worse than what Hitler did. Hitler only killed people who could defend themselves. True, they could not defend because Hitler was an autocrat and he had, all the government and military there, so the poor Jewish people, could not defend, but they were defendable. But these little children, now they are talking about euthanasia and the mercy killing and all these things. Every day draconian laws are being brought in. They explain this is all for good. What did Mao Zedong has done? How many million he has plowed into the earth? The old people, the crippled people, the deformed people. They said they are not productive anymore. Anybody who is not productive has to be, exterminated. Convert them to ashes and put into the land. Let only productive people come. That's what all these, the many lawmakers, that's what they do. We cannot support it. China said that only you can have one child. More than one child?
Take permission from the government.
Yeah, more than 2, and if one is, the first is a female, you can have a second child, and if more than that, then you will be fined and jailed, and sometimes the child will not have any benefit of education, any benefit of employment, so many rules and laws. Of course, say that even if we resist, what could we do? That's a good question. But we can cry, we can pray, we can raise our hands, we can raise our hands. So this is very, very important, the Christian concept of the law. I need to operate on these 5 principles. To the extent nations and governments acknowledge these principles and govern, then those governments will be blessed. If they violate these principles and make laws and govern people, then those governments will suffer. Yes. God does not expect every government will be a Christian government. No. Everybody is not a Christian. And we know that, everybody is not going to be a believer in the world. The non-believers are going to outsmart the believers. But morality and ethics is for everybody. It's not for Christians all. Morality and ethics for everybody. Children obeying the parents, husband-wife relationship, not committing adultery, not murdering, not stealing, not lying. Are they only for Christians? No, they are for all humanity. So any government honors these laws, and there is that moral, ethical decorum in the day-to-day living of the citizens. I tell you something, God will bless their government socially, intellectually, materially, in every sense. Does not mean they will be taken to heaven because they were moral people, no. But those governments will be blessed. You look at many governments. Some of the European countries were blessed because of this. They had Judeo-Christian ethics they had. Though they did not have Jesus Christ. Though they did not necessarily follow, the preaching of the gospel, but they had. But now they start rejecting it. They start rejecting it. Adultery is given a new definition. Murder is given new definitions. Stealing is given new definitions. Everything is new definition. What is traditionally murder is no more murder. Because killing a baby is not a murder. Euthanasia, killing your old parents, is no more murder. So we need to redefine. Two mature people with their consent will practice immorality, that's not adultery. So adultery has to be redefined. Police cannot interfere in it. So everything, the new morality and the new ethics have come, they are redefining everything, and then what were we are heading to? Our children in the campuses and everywhere, they are going to be in the psychology classes, sociology classes, and all these classes, they are going to be taught this new morality and new ethics. We need to question it. Who else will question it? So the quality of life depends upon the adherence to the moral laws. How justice and equity will be met. For everyone, when government is ruling right. But if government is not ruling right, then how justice and equity will be violated for the citizens, and it will be very, very difficult for them. I am sure you have some questions on what I said. At least I expect some questions, because, this is a very important area. Very important area.
Regarding the wild boars and tigers, their reason is to preserve the ecosystem.
Oh, you preserve them in the forest, not in your home, in your backyard. Yeah. They should not come to your backyard and catch your cow. Your cow is not to preserve the tiger. In most of the Christian countries, I know that if any wildlife or anybody encroaches upon your private property, you can shoot them. All that you need to inform the police station. I have shot a tiger because it got into my property. That's your private property. Government keep their tigers there.
I am the tiger in my property.
Yeah, I am the tiger in my property. The thing is, the tigers come, animals come, they catch away, they kill human beings. How many human beings in these areas, the national forest here? How many tigers and these leopards and all come and catch away animals and even human beings? Any case? No. They say, you take case against a tiger. The case must be taken over the forest officials. Why don't they put fences? They must do something to protect the citizens. Always the existence, the survival of a man is more important than the survival of an animal. Kerala elephants are taken in the main streets, and many of them, they get mad and they kill people, and why should the elephants should be taken to the forest? Leave them. Maybe keep one or two in the zoo so that the children could see what an elephant is. Why should they be allowed to walk in the streets? Are the roads made for elephants? Human beings are killed every day on the road. No, nobody cares for them. But there are more safety laws for the elephants between 12